sponsored by Trident Shield, your trusted ally in violence preparedness. Trident Shield safeguards your loved ones with expert training and consulting. Trident Shield, defending faith through preparedness, because together we save lives.
Welcome to Christian Warrior Talk, proudly presented by Christian Warrior Mission. Hosted by former Navy SEAL, SWAT officer, and atheist, now a warrior for Jesus Christ, Pastor Jason Perry. This is more than just a podcast. It's a spiritual vanguard where we intentionally set aside the hustle of our daily lives to come together. We gather to study the Bible, share in heartfelt prayer, and engage in meaningful discussions about all things Christian, homesteading, prepping, and self-defense. Lock shields with us, and together we will hold the line. And now let's meet your host, Pastor Jason Perry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Christian Warrior Talk, the Christian Fellowship Show, where we come together every Friday night at 9 p.m. till whenever it lasts for fellowship. This show has gone through a lot of different changes as we adapt to needs of our audience and things going on in our lives. And so now, as you guys know, we do our service our church service on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. and we do this show at 9 p.m. on Friday. Now I'm going to put this out as an exception. This Sunday at 9 I'm going to be doing a Memorial Day service because I know nearly no churches will get Memorial Day right. And I've never seen it done right outside of here. So I will do one for you brothers and sisters out there who I know who are hurting on this Memorial Day, and we'll get her done. And we'll talk about the challenges of that. But this is a Christian Fellowship Show where we come together to invest in one another, where we drop everything to spend time. Hey, it says you're live. We are live, April. Good to see you. Again, we are so excited to be back, but this is where we invest in one another. We invest in one another. We come here to, talk about the pillars. You do not see me.
I'll check Facebook.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate it. If you can check Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go through all those.
On X, we're live on X. I see that there.
Okay. I thought I saw it on Twitter.
And I see us on Facebook as well.
Okay. She might have got to the original link because I did a little stutter start on this. So she might be in the wrong link. Or she might be watching the wrong feed. But just exit out and you'll see us stream, and I see us on the page too. So anyways, so I know, there we go. I know that myself, even here in Tennessee, surrounded by like-minded individuals, it's easy to get isolated and alone. It's easy to not connect with those around you, particularly when you're a warrior, right? When you're a warrior for Christ and you're not another beta mushmale, right? And it can be awful isolating and alone. So we came here. We started this originally back in COVID. When COVID started in 2019, we did this as a fellowship show because we're all isolated, we're all locked in our houses, and we're like, hey, we need to do something. And it's grown, and it's grown, contracted, and evolved as we have gone. But I really think the thing that we all need is fellowship, right? We need to be able to come here and celebrate victories, right? Learn from our setbacks, and also talk about the things that are challenging us all, right? Now, this show will be a call-in show. I want to interact with the audience. Me and Adrian are here. Adrian's here to help me run things from behind so we can start taking audience. So I'm not a one-man band anymore. Right. And that's to kind of alleviate and check things that's going. And, we'll probably be screening calls and all kinds of different things that were coming in. As in the beginning, it's going to be all of our loyal followers calling, right? All the people who love us. But at some point, we're going to get trolls that we have to screen, and some of them will get through and blah, 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 and all that. And that's just part of the learning curve that we have to go through and part of the price of being a live show, right? But I really want to do that now. There's a couple things I want to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about why churches suck and fail veterans. J and A, show is a hot mess, lol, sending kindness and prayers. Victor, you always know just what to say. That's all. You always have the best things to say. So, anyways, so we're going to be talking about why the church is failing veterans and how it's failing veterans and why churches absolutely suck on Veterans Day. Then we're going to talk about how to meet veterans or how to reach veterans and first responders. And actually, veterans are easier to reach than first responders, particularly cops. Cops are the hardest group to reach on planet Earth, in my experience anyways. And then, we're going to start from there. We'll go into talking about, restarting the Crucible Challenge. I know that despite hitting the gym like every day, the rest of my life has gone like it always does when we don't aim on it, right? So, Adrian, it's good to have you. Adrian, could you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, like what your background is and who you are for everyone who's just catching you for the first time?
Yeah, so I'm from San Diego, California originally, and then left as soon as I could. Served in the U.S. Air Force, and then did contract work overseas. Was a controller in the Air Force, and then for the Federal Aviation Administration, and retired now. And now I'm a marketer. Been married for 22 years as of 14th, and got 2 kids and 4 dogs, and we live in Texas. Yeah.
Awesome. So, Lauren and I just had our anniversary, and
Nice.
Both of us were like completely overwhelmed and did nothing. So we're gonna do something tomorrow night.
Right. Nice. When was your anniversary, if you don't mind me asking?
It's the 22nd.
Nice, congrats. How many years?
So the 2016. So what is that? 8 years. Yeah. So yeah, we were completely overwhelmed. Didn't do anything. Didn't even barely remember. And so tomorrow night is our night. We're gonna go out. We got to a steak restaurant here that's pretty good, and just get some time without kids.
Yeah, that's nice.
3 kids under 5 and under is rough. That's all I'm going to say. But no, appreciate your service, Adrian. For those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jason Perry. I am the founder of, Christian Warrior Mission. I'm a pastor, former Navy SEAL, former SWAT guy, executive protection guy for some billionaires. And I run my own security training, emergency preparedness company called Trident Shield. I pastor Christian Warrior Mission, which is a home church community, farm and ministry. And this podcast is part of that. This is an extension of that ministry. This is to reach guys like me and guys like you out there, and April and Victor and others who feel isolated and alone. Victor's, I think, in Minnesota. April, I can't remember. You're somewhere up there. I know you're somewhere in the Midwest, I think. All of our longtime followers here. But we have a tradition on Fridays, and I'm bringing back the tradition. I didn't feel right doing it all that much when we were praying in and praying out and doing Bible. But this is the fellowship portion here. We pray before we go on air. to do that stuff. But Friday night has been Strength and Honor night for a very long time for this show. And what that means is when you come in, check in, say where you are. There's Brandy from Texas, where you are, Dallas area.
That's
And Strength and Honor has been going on for a long time. So when you come on, shout out where you're from. So watching Brandy Hip from Dallas, Texas. And when you do that, you will get
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
And you will get a toast. And you are welcome to toast with an adult beverage if you don't have problems with adult beverages, or you can toast with whatever, right? I don't care. It's not that. It is the social environment of us toasting one another and celebrating you and us and our friendship and our fellowship. So I broke out my old war horn here.
Nice.
So strength and honor to you, Adrian.
Strength and honor.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
April, Metro Detroit, Michigan.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Yep.
How about a 40-ounce chocolate shake? That'll do.
That'll do.
Sitting at Chicago again.
That's Victor showing his street cred. I'm at 37 in Chicago, Minneapolis. The calm be the storm. It started around 2:30, 3:30 Central. I am in Twin Cities area. That's Victor dropping like his street cred there. All right, so Victor.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Linda.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Who did I miss? Did we get Victor? We got Linda. We got April. All right. And my amazing wife, Lauren.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
So again, no one's to get drunk. We're not going to get drunk. We're going to stay well within our limits. But we are going to have some fun and we are going to be merry. Right? I love that prayer that they say in The Chosen. I can't remember it, but it's, the King of the universe, thank you, God, King of the universe, who blessed us with the fruit of the vine that makes men happy and merry or something like that. It's really cool. So anyways, it's good to be back and it's good to take this show and evolve it as the production value and everything else is increasing. And as we're able to do stuff, as we're migrating to better platforms, I'm really excited for that. But tonight I want to talk about something close to my heart. So I started Christian Warrior Mission because churches sucked at dealing with and addressing days like Memorial Day and 9/11, right? Every time, even pastors that I loved, like pastors that I look at as fathers of the faith, would suck on Memorial Day. Most of them wouldn't even remember it was Memorial Day. That somebody would have to come up and tap them and say, "Oh, happy Memorial Day," and it's like, happy Memorial Day? Like, what do you mean happy Memorial Day? Like, one, that's not one of those, it's not a happy day, guys. It's not a happy day. So we miss you too, April. So, again, watching all these, great men of God fumble on this. And then others will come up and they're like, "Hey, everyone who serves, stand. Thank you for your sacrifice." Again, not Memorial Day. Memorial Day is one of the darkest days for military members, bar none. It is the day that we remember everyone who didn't make it home, everyone who has died in service to their country, to include, in my opinion, those who take their own life from wounds they sustained overseas. And that list is growing every day. And it is not a happy Memorial Day thing. You can put that spin on it and say, I'm going to live because they're not here and all that stuff. But all these churches, no matter which one I go to, they're all terrible. There's only one guy I've seen. Actually, somebody did get it right. Gordon Hugenberger in Boston got it right. I've seen him do one service on a Memorial Day where he got it right. And if it wasn't Memorial Day, it was might not have been Memorial Day, it might have been 4th of July, but still he acknowledged that. He talked about the Black Robe Regiment, right? He talked about pastors going in, out with the troops and leading men into that, and then talking about the cost of that. But most churches utterly fail this, and they don't understand that every one of us knows someone who either died overseas or has taken their life since they came back. Every single one of us in this world has been touched by a veteran's loss in some way, shape, or form. And to not address that when 22 veterans a day or more are killing themselves, and now first responders are joining that, right? They have started to escalate their problem, their suicide tendency, suicide rates as well. And for the church to stay silent on it, it really pisses me off. It shows you what happens when you have a bookworm behind the podium. You have any thoughts on that, Adrian?
Yeah, it's pretty jacked up. I think, like you said, a lot of pastors get it wrong. They acknowledge veterans that are at the church, and I've seen that at multiple churches where they have the veterans stand up, and it's not about that. I think on Sunday when you preach your service, we're going to see a good service that really resonates with what it's supposed to be about. And I just feel like like you said, there's 22 veterans a day or more killing themselves. This is something that really needs to be addressed by communities, our government. They need to do a better job of taking care of their veterans, and us as a community, as veterans, we need to help one another out. We need to outreach to veterans, first responders, and those in need of help, those in need of fellowship. We need to reach out to those people to show them there's another way, and that's through Jesus.
Well, and there is another way, but the problem is that the church has been so beta mailed. It's been become so pacifist. It can't identify with anything masculine, right? Yeah. Like, I was going to do a show on this, and I probably will, is why is Christianity so gay, right? Like, why do they hire male strippers and sword swallowers to perform at a men's conference? Like, could you get more gay if you tried? Right. And it's because it has been so feminized, particularly by the Catholic Church. Here you get men who can't even have wives.
Yeah.
Who are notorious for raping boys.
Right.
Right. They're not even men. Right.
Yeah.
And the glorification of Mary, like they glorify Mary more than anything. Right. But then the pacifist doctrine where somebody gets a hold of turn the other cheek and turns it into something completely out of context.
Yeah.
And because of that, you get these hyper cerebral bookworms who've never been in a fight, who've never been scared, right? They've gone from a school to college to seminary, and now they're just, they're sit there in their Vineyard Vines shirts and their man dresses and everything else, and they have no idea of what sacrifice really looks like, right? Yeah. And that's the thing that I think that warriors need to learn and they need to understand, is that the warrior is more Christ-like than almost any theologian out there. Okay. And we're like, what are you talking about? Well, because the warrior risks it all for people who love him and hate him, and he doesn't even know. Right? The pastor gets up and reads scripture and quotes other people's work all day. That's what that is. Right? Where they pull from this book, or they pull from, I know I'm one, they pull from this commentary, that commentary. Some of them write their own commentary, which none of it is ever original thought. Right? You're talking about a book that's been written about for over 2,000 years, and some parts of it even longer. right? The Old Testament even longer. Like
Right.
it's been written and everyone has plagiarized one another and it's all over this. You can just add your own, take or experiences into that, like I'm doing right now, right? Where it's like, hey, have you thought of it from this perspective? Like all of you guys who have been nothing but theologians your whole life, right? Have you thought that none of these people were theologians?
Right.
Paul was the only theologian, and all he was trying to tell people is stop being theologians, right? Stop being legalistic. So again, and then on top of that, right? The church, and they call us the bride of Christ, which we are. But what man wants to be a bride? Like no one.
Right.
Right. That language is feminizing.
Where does that even come from? I mean, when did the church start using that terminology?
Well, it's in the New Testament referring to, love your wife like we are the bride of Christ. Christ is the bridegroom. We, just all that is used there. But you have to be very careful when you're doing that because, again, most dudes don't even want to go to heaven. Why? Because the enemy has been so good at saying, heaven is sitting on a cloud in a diaper playing a harp. That's what you're going to be doing for eternity.
I think Victor brings up a good point, like a bunch of, crosstalk, double speak. I don't know if you've heard that term before.
I've heard double T. But what are you referring to? Double speak means saying one thing, but it really means something else.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like you said, men think hell is more appealing. Why? Because they feel like it's more badass, if you want to call it that, versus, like you said, the church is feminizing everything. Like, who wants to become that?
Right. So hold on. Steve Raleigh, strength and honor.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Right. Well, the enemy has really good marketing, right? Right. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a bar overseas and, partying. And it's like, who wants to go to heaven and play on a cloud with a harp? I want to be down in hell with all the rock stars and the wild girls. Right. Which is a complete, utter deception. Those people are going to be in misery, burning in fire, suffering eternally.
Right.
But when you're angry and lonely and frustrated and you don't know the love of the Father and you don't know how much Jesus loves you, you don't understand that you're a traitor, right? You don't men want loyalty above anything, right? That's what they want. They want loyalty. And we're all traitors, right? Until we're saved by Christ and we recognize him as our Lord and Savior. And until they understand that, right? But it's, these churches just turn their backs. They're so apathetic about those. And then you hear pastors, this is what drives me nuts. You get pastors who America ain't my country. I'm just an alien here passing through. America ain't my country. I don't care, whatever. This ain't my home. Well, then get out. Get out.
Right.
Go to Afghanistan.
Yep.
You flapping your lips right now. You're only able to do that and say what you're saying and denigrate America because men gave everything so you could do that. Right. You ungrateful, not only ungrateful to those who laid down their lives for that, but ungrateful to God for the blessing, for not acknowledging the blessing of being born here. There are people that would murder thousands to get to America.
Yep.
There are people who do murder thousands to come to America.
Right.
With fentanyl and smuggling all these drugs and all those other things. And you have these spoiled, coddled, white collar pastors who have just gone, bookworm to bookworm to bookworm, and they don't appreciate any of it. And it drives me insane at the lack of their gratitude. And this is why, another reason why you won't find alpha males or veterans as much in the church or cops in the church because they're so ungrateful.
Strength and honor, Claudia.
All right. Claudia.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
You have any thoughts on what I said there?
Yeah, no, I think you brought up some good points. You know, for instance, celebrities that don't appreciate this country. You know, they say they're going to be on the first plane out of this country if Trump gets elected, right? Like, I want to see if that happens when he gets reelected.
They've been saying that
Yeah.
for the past like 8 elections, dude.
Because they know, you know, what happens if they leave this country. I mean, all these people that are, you know, protesting and whatnot that hate this country so much, you're free to leave. You're free to go somewhere else, and you know, free to go to Gaza. Go to Gaza, see how they're going to treat you. You know, those far left LGBTQ individuals that, you know, think that they're going to live a free life over there.
Yep.
Please.
John Farace.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
It's Farace, I know, but I love calling him Farace. And, you know, they're from, you know, Jersey. So,
yeah, so I just think, you know, all these people that hate this country so much that, you know, protests, you know, burn the flag. It's so disrespectful. It's, you know, that's, I hate to say it, but that's the beauty of having freedom, is being able to speak your mind and do those things, have freedom of speech. But, you know, it ticks me off, you know, seeing people burn the flag. So, you know, like you said, people, you know, Americans have shed blood for that flag, for this country. And when people burn it and stomp on it, I just want to strangle them, you know?
Yeah, dude, I completely agree with you. You know, I was sitting there and I was actually, you know, you were talking about, you know, there's a door, and today, you know, I just started leaning into Memorial Day weekend, and, you know, I'm sitting here working and I just started playing songs, you know, and, you know, Am I the Only One by Aaron Lewis came on.
Oh, yeah.
And dude, I'm just like bawling my eyes out at my desk, you know, that, and Luke Bryan's like Drink a Beer, you know, and then there's so many other ones out there. But I'm just sitting here and it's like that song, Am I the Only One, encapsulates how we all feel, which I want to pivot for a moment, if I may. No, I'll hold on to that. We'll save that for the next segment. But, you know, I plead with pastors to do, like, I send them my sermon and I say, copy it. Copy what I did and make it your own, and actually do something for the guys out there who are thinking about putting a gun in their mouth tonight.
Right.
Like, you know, save a life, would you?
Have you got any positive responses from that?
No. Some think it's
why do you think pastors don't want to touch on it on Memorial Day?
Well,
when they don't know, or they don't care?
Some churches are so traditional, they'll only do line by line, verse by verse. And if they're not on the line by line, verse by verse, that they're on for that, they just blow it off. And I don't think, I think that is literally letting somebody die on the Sabbath when you could heal them.
Right.
You know, and I don't think that is correct. I don't think it has the right heart behind it. I don't think it is loving at all. And you know, I'm not people worshiping here. I'm talking about investing in and fighting for men who completely broke themselves, their bodies, their souls, their minds, their families, right? Sometimes permanently, often permanently, so that you can do what you do and preach Christ wherever you are without fear. Right. And so you can live well and donate money to help people in Haiti who you might as well just flush it down the toilet, in my opinion, or wherever else you want to do it. Right. And to not do that with them, particularly when it's such a layup. It's such a layup message of service, right? I mean, it's like there is no easier, better, you know, there is no more Christ-like thing that you can do than talk about that. And they won't. They won't because it's foreign to them. Well, because those guys pulled triggers and killed people.
You think that's the underlining issue regarding that?
It may be. It may be.
I never thought about it from that point of view, but I could see that being one of the reasons.
I heard something that made me want to vomit the other day. John Piper, who is a man who loves God. I'm not going to question his love for God. And I have learned a lot from him in a lot of things, but he's gone so woke. And he is a diehard pacifist. He answered a question. If someone broke into his house and was raping and killing his daughter, would he kill the attacker? And he said, no, because I know my daughter's going to heaven. I know the attacker's not, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, I heard that. And,
it's no wonder his son is a complete buffoon, because if you're not willing to fight for your kids, you're an embarrassment.
Right.
You're an embarrassment, right? If they know you're not worth it, you won't fight for them, they are going to have such an identity crisis and such a abandonment, wound, a heart wound, that they're going to have a very hard life until you pray to God that God intervenes and gets hold of them.
Yeah, to me, that's a no-brainer. If somebody were to break into my house and try to do something like that, they're gone. I mean, I'll do anything and everything in my power to stop them where they're at. And like you said, we're the protectors of our families. And if we're not doing that, what kind of men are we?
Well, we are called to be the good shepherds. The first part of being a shepherd, right, is nurturing your flock and growing your flock.
Right.
The second part of that job is protecting your flock, or else from the wolves and the lions and the thieves, right? Or else, guess what? You're not going to have a flock and you're not a good shepherd, right? But this is where people who read words for a living don't understand where the rubber meets the road. Right? They don't know, they haven't been on the front lines in law enforcement or as an EMT or a fireman who's in there seeing people torn apart in cars, or domestics, or, the horrible random violence that happens in cities, and they haven't had to reckon with any of that. They show up and they give a great service. Right. But they don't understand. They don't understand the people, particularly cops, who absolutely put their soul through a shredder every day out there because of what they see and how much they're hated doing it.
Right. Yeah, they have a tough job, especially in today's day and age with everything that's going on. They can't even do their job the right way. It's pretty bad.
Imagine doing your job where somebody questioned and prodded you and taunted you for every keystroke.
That's horrible.
That is their life. Do they make mistakes? Absolutely, they're humans.
Yeah.
That's what the courts are for. Right? That's why we have juries. That's why, probable cause is 51%. That means you're wrong 49%.
Right.
Right? I mean, we're not talking about a large margin here. Right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then beyond a reasonable doubt is a much higher standard, right? So again, the lack of, what kills me is they'll spend thousands, tens of thousands, millions of dollars going to save people overseas who they don't know, who do nothing for anyone. They're just living their lives, being whatever people they are. I'm not criticizing them. That's just who they are. Right. But the men who destroyed themselves for them, they will do nothing for. They won't lift a freaking peaky for them. And it just makes me so darn mad.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So we're going to take a break and we're going to come back. And then we'll talk about, how do we change it? How do we help? John's got a great point here. John said, pastors will not duplicate your sermons because it is too uncomfortable for their congregations. Well, their congregation needs to grow up. Most of them live on completely naive to the world. And I know you agree with us, John. this isn't your point. This is your saying that that's why they don't do it.
Right.
Like, life is hard. You don't think life's hard? Look at what happened on October 7th in Israel.
Yeah.
Right. You want to see the nightmare? That could happen here tomorrow. With the millions of people that have come across this border who we don't know where they are, they could coordinate all over the country and they could do what they did in Israel, which I believe they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to do that here, and they're going to do the most abominable thing to our people, where they're burning babies, murdering babies in their cribs, raping women. Did you see that video? That horrible video where the woman is 19 years old. Her pants are all bloodstained because she's been anally raped,
Yeah.
you know, over and over again. They cut one of her heels, her Achilles tendon, so she couldn't run. They bound her, they like did all this stuff. Like, and here's the thing: the people of Palestine were cheering it, and I'm like, you should drop a tactical nuke right there.
Right.
Like, pay parking glass, everyone who was there. I don't care. Right?
Right.
Like, if you tolerate evil, you're the same as evil.
Yeah, dude. I agree with you 100%. That's kind of like my take on it. I know it's not Christ-like, but just imagine living in Israel.
Whoa. Go to the Old Testament, brother.
Yeah,
How did God say to fight wars?
Right.
God said to fight wars mercilessly, right? To the point where they refused to do it, and God punished them for it.
Right. Well, what I mean by that, I guess I should correct myself, is having that hate in your heart,
It doesn't have to be hate, dude.
Right.
It can be righteous anger.
Right.
That's the difference. I don't hate any of those people.
Right.
But I recognize rabies when I see it, and rabies is
right.
Rabies is a fatal disease, man.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, just imagine living in Israel and that happening in your country, people coming over the border and doing all that. And then the rest of the world is looking at it from the outside, telling you that you can't fight your war.
It's absolutely maddening.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think we should be giving them anything.
Right.
Like, I don't think we should be giving them weapons. I don't think we should be giving them. We're trillions and trillions, tens of trillions in debt. They want to buy it from us. I'm all for it.
Right.
Right. I'm even willing to give them a discount, a sale. Right. But nothing's for free when you're broke.
Yeah. Yeah, just let them fight their war. They don't need our help.
Fight their wars, dude.
Yeah.
Don't micromanage. Wars suck. And no one's killed more innocent people practically in war than we have.
Right.
Other than Stalin purposely starving and killing his own people, and Mao and Hitler exterminating. But we dropped 2 nukes on two cities.
Yeah. We
carpet bombed Germany into rubble. How many men, women, and children died there? Countless. That's why that movie Fury was so hardcore, where they're literally doing bulldozers of thousands of bodies into holes. Right. And people just don't understand this, man. They don't understand it. They don't understand the cost of violence. They don't understand how you fight evil. And again, it's a lot of stuff taken out of context, right? Again, we don't fight against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities, right? So that means we can't ever fight anyone, right? No, that is who you hate. The powers and the principalities, the evil, right? The evil that's pulling the strings on the puppets in front of you. And you love your enemy who's in front of you, and you know they're deceived. And you have to understand that, and you pray that they turn from it. But that is how you have to do that. That is in order to kill Hitler, we had to kill a lot of Germans.
Right.
And we killed a lot of innocent people to do that. Right.
How do you not? It's hard to not hate when people do things like that, because they're such evil acts that happen in Israel. And Afghanistan, Iraq, some of the things that
you can hate sin, bro. You can hate sin, right? God hates sin, right? In order to love something, the opposite of that is hate that which hurts it, right? So
and that's what makes Christ so perfect, man, is because he did that, man. They crucified him, and he loved them,
Well,
and
Christ was. There's a lot of differences there, right? So one, Christ came to do exactly that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. That's the reason for some of the parables.
Right.
That's the reason in some of the subterfuge that he did and some of the confusing things that he did and all those. If Christ is too effective, they don't let him be crucified and we're all doomed.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
No, exactly. Yeah.
it had to happen exactly the way that it did.
Right.
Right. And God planned all that and God's sovereign and he made that happen.
Right.
Right. The Jews who were judged. Right. The Jews were judged. Not all Jews everywhere before you guys all, here I am talking about defending Israel, giving the right to do all that. But if I say Christ is king, I'm going to have people melt down because that's supposed to be whistle for whatever. Jesus Christ is king. Sorry, I'm going to say that. That's just the way it is. But guess what? The Jews of that time, right? The Jewish nation at that time rebelled against God and killed his son.
Right.
Right? They were found lacking. Jesus preached to them. He did all these things. They did not turn, right? And because they rejected the Messiah, he judged them, right? They killed the Messiah, okay? Which they knew was going to happen all along, right? Just like they did all the other prophets, right? So they manipulated. The person who I have the most sympathy for is Pontius Pilate. That's the guy who I have the most sympathy for in all this. Because there's a guy who did everything he possibly could to try to save Jesus and then caved to political pressure. It was a coward. And, through political pressure and not want to lose his head for riots and a bunch of other things. There's all kinds of theories around it. But again, Jesus had to come and be a sacrifice. He had to die.
Right.
And what he did was be a sacrifice, and he knew everyone around him didn't know what was going on.
Right.
So while he's doing that, right? And who's doing it? Not the Jews. He's not praying for the Jews here when he says, Father, forgive them, they know not what they do. He's praying for the Roman soldiers who are doing it to him because they're just useless pawns. They don't know anything about Yahweh. They don't know anything about a Messiah. They have zero chance, dude.
Right.
They don't even.
That's what I'm saying. That kind of love,
right.
And having me seeing some of the things that I've seen, and it's tough. It's tough, and I'm sure you've seen evil, face to face, and it's just difficult. It's one of those things that I deal with daily, and watching the news, seeing everything that's going on. I pray about it and I'm like, God, put love in my heart, because, seeing everything that's going on, it's very difficult, like you said, to see these things and to love, hate the sin, hate the evil, but love your enemies. It's deep, man. It's very deep.
The way I've always looked at it is, if my dog got rabies tomorrow, right, and was biting people and whatever, killing animals, I would put my dog down. Would I be sad to do it? Yes. This is where it gets scary. And we talked a little bit about this. When you find yourself enjoying killing people, you've got a problem. Yeah. And there's some people who are out there who say that it's all the greatest rush, this, that. That is some dangerous stuff right there. Yeah. Right? Again, you are killing the image of God. It should always be entered. That should be entered somberly. Right. And understand what you're really doing there. You're killing the puppet of the powers of the and the principalities.
Right.
Okay. And that's what you have to really understand. And, but you're not going to learn this in a book. Right. You can read about farming for 1,000 years, and you're not going to know what the heck to do with a bull or all these other things. You might, but until you get there, you don't know what the earth feels like. You don't understand. Holy smokes, a 2,000-pound bull is no joke.
Yeah, could kill you.
No joke, right? And, and you don't understand the rivers of blood that came out of that temple until you do your own processing day on the farm.
Right.
This city boy who just did like 100 chickens, 70 chickens, I think we did in one day. I think we did 70 in one day. And the amount of blood was huge, right? And I'm just like, wow, imagine thousands of bulls, right? And then I went and I had to do big pigs, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm just picturing this and understanding that, like you're never going to understand the cost, the smell, the taste, the toll all that takes unless you experience it. And you're never going to get that from a book, man.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
I think that's, you know, people look down on me because I'm a lay pastor. I don't speak Greek. I don't speak Hebrew, you know, whatever. Can I pull open any app, you know, multiple apps and rely on those to do it? Am I relying on a second source? Yeah. But everyone else is relying on the source that taught them as well.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, again, you know, I think experience, biblical experience, like through the lens of the Bible, going out and doing things and being a part of things and understanding the hardest parts of life, right? Which is conflict, right? Conflict. How do we deal with evil? You know, like, you know, and I'm sorry when John Piper said he let his daughter die. You know, instead, I'd rather look at Paul Washer. Says if anyone hurts my daughter, I'm going to get a gun, shoot them, and hang them from a tree.
Right.
You know, that's a pastor I can follow. Right? That right there is a pastor I can follow.
Yeah, that's definitely the mindset I have. You know, I don't look at it and who could take that? You know, I don't understand that that mindset.
That's someone who's never been in a fight and never seen
Right.
that. Right? Never seen that. Because until you've seen your loved one absolutely brutalized or somebody innocent absolutely like, I'm going to step in for anyone that I see doing that. Like,
so I just wonder what some of these pastors that are real like feminized, you know, October 7th, what they see when they, you know, saw the videotapes of these young women brutalized, like you said, you know, Achilles tendon cut, raped, all these horrible things, tortured, and they're just like, it's they'll go to heaven if they know Jesus, you know, like, what's their mindset with that? How do they see these events unfold? Do they think it's okay or not?
Well, again, anything done in the name of Christ, but you remember these are Jews.
Yeah.
They're not even Christians, so they're not even going to heaven. Right. So now we got to talk about that, right?
Right.
But hey, Philip Anthony Saints, all good to see you, brother. Welcome back.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
You know, so, you know, and I know John MacArthur is another pacifist. Like, he wouldn't fight for America and he wouldn't do that. My opinion is get out.
Right.
Get out. You know, I want guys who are going to be on the front lines, praying with the troops, fighting with the troops, doing what they got to do with the troops. And, you know, there actually is a really good story of a pacifist who won the Medal of Honor. I can't remember the name of the movie. It's a World War II movie.
Yeah.
He's a conscientious objector.
Is it Hacksaw Ridge?
No, maybe it was Hacksaw Ridge. I can't remember. But this guy wouldn't carry a gun, but he's the guy who saved all these lives.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Absolutely phenomenal story. And that's the way to serve.
Yeah.
Right? That guy 100% can serve that way if he wants to.
Yeah.
He put his life, he's got skin in the game. He went there, extremely brave, and did all that, if you want to believe that garbage. Right. That you're on the other cheek garbage. But no. Sell your cloak, buy a sword. Right? Was that to cut your toenails with? Right? Absolutely. I love how they pick and choose things.
Right.
You know, I love how they cherry pick and go around, and, you know, I can't believe, you know, again, even one of my favorite resources, R.C. Sproul's, and what he said on that verse. You know, he basically became, you know, the best linguistic yoga expert in the world, twisting himself in knots like John Roberts trying to approve Obamacare. You know, he redefined what is and everything. It's just ridiculous, dude. Instead of just understanding, hey, the God that was violent through the first 2/3 of the Bible, you know, in order to do stuff, can be violent in the other half.
Right.
You know, Hacksaw Ridge, Desmond T. Ross. Thank you, Philip Anthony Saints Hall. We're going to take our first break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about what to do. All right. See ya in about a minute.
Sponsored by Trident Shield. your trusted ally in violence preparedness. Trident Shield safeguards your loved ones with expert training and consulting. Trident Shield, defending faith through preparedness because together we save lives. Sponsored by Trident Shield, your trusted ally in violence preparedness. Trident Shield safeguards your loved ones with expert training and consulting. Trident Shield, defending faith through preparedness because together we save lives.
All right, we're back. Couple things I want to say right now to all you guys who are watching. If you want to help this show, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can hit like, great. You can comment, right? Great. You can share it, even better, right? So those are 3 ways you can do this. Like, comment, share. And also you can go to Apple Store and rate our podcast on there. That really helps. That's what drives everything else. That's how everyone else gets traction. So you can do all those things. And if you want, after all that's said and done, I appreciate all of you who tithe here, and you can do that at christianwarriormission.org. I will put that up right here on the bottom of the screen. And you can let's do this one. There we go. And you can do that. And I really, really, really appreciate that. It really helps us do a lot of things here. So a couple things. We still have we've had 3 people donate to be a part or pay for 3 people for the next forging, which is July 11th through the 14th. We have filled one of those slots already. And now we have 2 more slots that we want to fill that have been paid forward by kind members of our audience who had life-changing experiences, who know the value of this training and wanted to pay somebody who might be on hard times. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I know I just teased it and brought it up, and I probably should dive into it, but I just wanted to remember that right now. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is, okay, our churches suck dealing with veterans and first responders. How do we fix it? And that's where you and I come in, Adrian. That's where everybody who's watching the show comes in, particularly if you're a veteran or a first responder, and you start a first responder group in your church, and you say, hey, listen, I'm here. I'm just like you guys. Let's get together and let's invest in one another, which is what this show is, right? But you need to do that locally because, put it this way, one of the guys that I'm pouring in today, I heard a bunch of screaming, yelling. It was like Jerry Springer across the street, across the holler here down in Johnson City. And I checked in on him. Like I saw him go speeding away. I'm like, you all right? And, that's what we need to be able to do with one another, guys. We're all going to have warfare come upon us. We're all going to have trying times, bad days. We're going to get fired. Our wives are going to cheat on us. We're going to cheat on our wives. We're going to make bad decisions. Your kids are going to drive you to the breaking point, on and on and on. A bad neighbor, bad boss, bad everything. And, with all the trauma that a lot of us have seen, it doesn't take much to tip that scale over to where guys are now considering putting a gun in their mouth, and we got to stop that.
I think a lot of veterans, they, close themselves up. Like, the other day when you asked me, hey, how you doing, bro? And I'm like, hey, I'm doing great, And then I'm like, you know what, man? Like, I have this going on. Like, I should tell you, and I open up to you. But I think, we gotta train ourselves to do that, to open up to others and how to reach out to our fellow veterans so they feel comforted to open up to us, because, I get together with a lot of veterans and hang out and stuff like that. But for the most part, nobody talks about their issues, As a pastor, how would you recommend you know, when we reach out to those individuals to get them to open up.
Well, you got to get vulnerable.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing is, you know, coming together to eat cookies is not going to work.
Yeah.
Right. Like there was a local church here that I was a part of, and they're like, man, we can't get any cops to come. And I'm like, well, what have you done? And like, well, we gave them all power bars. We gave them power bars.
Yeah.
We gave them power bars. Of course not. Like you want them to show up, have a shooting event.
Yeah.
You know, have a shooting event and a fire afterwards and sit around the fire and get vulnerable. Right? That's how you do it. Dude, Christians are some of the least fun people on planet Earth. Right? We can't even have nice things. We debate on whether we can watch The Chosen or not because it's just too good.
Right.
Right? It's too good. So now we're going to find problems with it, right? So, I mean, again, so Christians can be the most stick in the mud, least fun people on the planet. And then the ones who typically aren't that are just Christian light, right? So finding Christians that are actually fun, that are actually walking it out, that's like 1 in a million, man.
It is.
It shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
You know,
that's why, you know, I've reached out to a couple of groups and, you know, hung out with some people, you know, through the church and stuff like that. And it just very nice people, very good people, but it just wasn't my crowd. You know, I couldn't relate to them on a lot of different levels. And like you said, it just wasn't fun, you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, they take it and they effeminize everything they're doing, right? You know, you get a bunch of guys together and they think, you know, I mean, some of the events that they do and they think that makes it like, again, that stupid conference, monster trucks.
Yeah.
I haven't liked monster trucks since I was 7.
Right.
Would I want one? Sure. But I haven't like gone out of my way to watch monster trucks do anything since I was a kid. Like that is not cool to me. Right. You know, the other way we reach men is by doing hard stuff ourselves. And that is the rub, right? Doing men's ministry effectively is hard work. You can't be a fat blob. Everyone's going to know you're a phony. You can't be, you know, weak and all these other things. You have to be a leader incarnate to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And you have to lead from the front and you have to lead by example. So like in the morning when I'm working out with these guys and I'm discipling, you know, teaching them ethic, hold them accountable, you know, saying if they're going to be here, you know, one said he was going to be at church. He didn't show up to church. Guess what? He had to go run when he showed up to the gym the next day before he started the gym. So like, go run to the church and back. Because you said you're going to do something you didn't.
Right.
You know, and, you know, not that he, you know, again, just holding them accountable, you know, but that requires a lot of effort and a lot of integrity. And you have to be able to, you have to have credibility with men. Men only follow competent men. Like when you get out of positional authority, like in the military, you get to follow any donkey who's got more stripes on his thing or whatever, right? Every officer walking around with a piece of paper is better than you as an enlisted guy, even though if you know infinitely more than him, right?
Right.
But, you know, in the real world, men only follow competence. If you're not competent, you've got no business running men's ministry.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So, you know, I think I wanted to touch on this when you mentioned listening to Aaron Lewis's song, how, you know, it just touched you. You know, that's one thing that the veterans need is that camaraderie, right? I think most of us miss that. You know, that's one of the things that I miss the most. And we talked about this earlier today, right? When I asked you, what's the one thing you miss? And you're like, the guys, you know, my buddies.
Yeah, the guys.
And that is one, you know, when I look back and I reflect on, you know, some of the things that I went through with some of these guys, man, it just, you know, it gives me really bad, like anxiety. Like I'm happy thinking about it, but at the same time, I feel like I lose my breath because I miss it so much, you know, hanging out with these dudes. And, you know, it's just like you said, you know, there's a lot of vets killing themselves because they don't have this brotherhood, you know? And
well, it's because their wife doesn't understand them as well. And a lot of guys don't share with their wife, you know, and it's not really fair. You know, your wife is there she's not doing the deployments with you, but she is doing the deployments back home. Right. And you can't expect her to be a part of you, one flesh. You can't expect her to solve problems. And I'm not saying this is you, Adrian. I'm just saying this happens a little bit. You know, there's that problem. Then there is the problem, depending on who you married, will she even understand you? Is she capable of understanding?
Right.
Is she empathetic to even want to understand? Like, I'll tell you, I've been watching a little bit of some of these podcasts out there that where, you know, like there's one called The Whatever, and it's, you know, where they talk about women and how they think.
Yeah, the Whatever podcast.
Yeah, and all this stuff. And it talks about how they all think all men should take a bullet of them for them, but they like have no loyalty to them and all these other things. You know, they're all feminists, but and say they want equality, but they don't want equality because they don't want to be subject to the draft, right? They just want a very skewed society that where they get the best of everything and men bear all the burden and all the crap, right? And I can't believe, you know, I hit the lottery with my wife. My wife is amazing. And, you know, and I'm sure your wife is amazing too, but I can't even imagine dating today.
Yeah.
Right. I can't even imagine dating a non-Christian today. Like, oh my God. Like, what would that even be like with how twisted these girls are by the time they hit their 20s from all the MTV and the Cardi B's and everything else out there.
MTV's still around?
I don't know. Whatever the current thing of MTV.
Yeah, I don't think it's around anymore, man.
How could they screw that up? That was like the best thing ever.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Hey, Joseph, good to see you. He's in Alaska. Man, we got a good crew tonight. Strength and honor to you.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
Yeah, no, that podcast, you know, it's interesting hearing them debate with some of these women because, you know, the reasoning behind what they think is just it's pretty interesting. You got to check it out.
So let's wrap this up and put a bow on it. To go back to what we need to do. So guys who are veterans need to go in and need to leading in their own church. Yeah. They need to start leading. They need to start working out with other guys in the morning, right, or the night. Like they need to start mentoring the younger men, right? The younger men who don't have fathers, who are maybe beta and they need some guidance, right? They need to get around strong men. And I'm telling you, the gym is where you do it. Right. The gym is where you prove who you are. You go in there and, you know, and you do the best you can and you leave it all on the mat and you leave all the sweat there, you know, and everything else, and they'll respect you for it. Right. And, you know, that is the foundation, and your life is your credibility, right? Meaning, so foundation is probably the wrong word. That's going to give you the street cred, right? That you're in there and you're doing that. You don't even have to be good at it. You just got to give it your all, right? People will admire that you're like, you know, he may not be strong, he may not be fast, he may not, but the dude is puking every day doing the, you know, putting out for everyone.
His heart.
And then the next thing is, before you start leading anything, turn around and look at your house, right? And is your marriage good? Are your kids tight? Right?
Right.
You know, are you leading your own house before you're trying to tell other people how to lead their lives? And if you're not, don't bother.
Right.
Fix that first and then do it. You know, a lot of people want to skip that step because it's hard. Right? They got 20 years of baggage with their wife where they weren't a Christian. They just got saved. And now they got to sift through all that damage and do the time and earn that trust. And they just want to flip the switch and say, I'm a Christian now. I'm new. That person's dead. And there's still work to do.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they stuck with you all this time. Now you're finally there. Now you got to give them love back and let them catch up to where you are now. You know, and so anyway, so we got to go into our churches and we got to start leading them. We need masculine men, masculine warriors leading in our churches. We've had enough of the bookworms. You know, and you know, you get rid of you don't get rid of but you need the bookworms, right? Everyone's got their place. Everyone's a different type of a warrior, right? You need guys with PhDs and white collar suits and man pajamas and dresses to debate the other guys in dresses, and with all their initials and PhDs and all that stuff, to decide and settle things for the rest of us, right? That we, so that we can then talk about it and see if what they said, see if we agree with what they said,
Right.
come up with some theory or some, some revelation on something. So that's what we need to do. And, it's not all that hard. It's not complicated, but it is hard. It does take discipline, and it does take guys who may or may not be retired to get back into the fight in a different way.
Right.
What do you think?
No, yeah, I agree with you. I'm retired, so I have no excuse. That's why I'm laughing.
Right. So it's like, who are you discipling, right? And again,
Right.
you got to look at your family first. And if there's a fire there, you're working on that. But you can start working on somebody else while you're buttoning that up, and say, hey, everything's not perfect.
I think the family portion of it, like you said, I've been saved for a long time, but that is one of the most difficult things to button up, especially teenage kids, and then I have a daughter in college. So that's one area that I'm still working on, but definitely I think I can start, reaching out to other men, and maybe helping out.
Well, you might get help too. You might learn something.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about to pivot topics is I actually became optimistic for our country today. Like today, I've been one of those guys who we're doomed. Like Trump is not going to be able to win. There's just no way. Blah blah blah.
I know, man. You don't give me any hope because every time I talk to you, like, yeah, we're just screwed, man. We're screwed. There's nothing you can do.
I mean, you may be screwed, but today, and I've been very critical of Trump now.
Right.
I'm going to vote for him because he's our candidate, and the other option is absolutely insanity. So of course I'm going to vote for Trump. And I've been campaigning for Trump, meaning saying I think unless you're evil, you should be voting for Trump right now because he is the only thing standing in the way of our complete destruction. Right. Period. And but I think we've hit a point when I watched New York the other day and watched some of the highlights of it. I didn't sit there and watch that.
Are you talking about when he was in the
Bronx? Yeah, the Bronx. And now I'm starting to see a lot more people who don't look like me talking about Trump. And then I'm starting to look at cultural things. Right? I saw this GIF or this reel come out on Instagram, and it's some famous rapper who's coming on stage, and he comes out to this he's walking he's dancing all the way down this ramp into this massive crowd of probably 150,000 people, right? And it's all building up with him doing this dance, and somebody AI'd Trump into doing that, right? And then he comes up there and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he just starts going crazy. And it's when culture starts flipping that way, dude.
Yeah.
That's really hard to stop, bro. When I knew Trump was going to win in 2016, when I started seeing memes with him being Leonidas, and doing all that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When the culture and memes and rappers and the rapper movements are taking on your identity, dude.
Yeah.
That's something we haven't seen before.
And the thing with the Bronx too is most of those people that were at that rally, I don't know if you saw any of the interviews, they voted for Biden before, and now they're completely flipped,
So Claudia said we just went to his. I think this is what you meant to, or she just went to that rally.
Oh, okay, nice.
So.
Yeah.
So I had some hope there because I think people have reached for lack of a better term, the F it moment where they don't care what Trump does.
Right.
They just want to stick it to this system. They're so tired of the corruption. They're so tired of everything being broken. They're so tired of being called racist. They're so tired of being called victims. They're so tired of being told that they can't do stuff. They're so tired of the injustice all around them. They're so tired of the open border. They're tired of the indoctrination of their kids. They're tired of the grooming of their kids, right? Everything that's normal, the Democrats have destroyed. And I think people, the normal people, are just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to pull that lever so hard for him. I'm going to break it. And I may not tell anyone. I'm not going to whatever, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to stick it to him. You know, I'm just going to stick it. I'm you know, I think we might be at that critical mass point.
I hope we are. You know, but the one thing that scares me is the influx of all these immigrants, you know, because we could be at that turning point, but then next thing you know, all these people that aren't even citizens are voting.
Yeah. Well, you know, again, we have red states who have buckled down their voter stuff, but it's going to come down to this stupid Pennsylvania, right? Again.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to come to stupid Arizona again. Now, Georgia supposedly tightened their stuff up. So we'll see that. But it's going to be the same stupid corrupt counties and the same cities that are completely compromised. Michigan.
Right.
How can anyone believe anything anymore?
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, and the thing is if you talk to a Democrat about the election, they lose their mind when you say that it might not have been legit. No matter what you throw at them, no matter what stats you throw at them, no matter how much you show, can we admit that at least doesn't look right?
It was a free and fair election is what they'll tell you.
Where all of a sudden from 3 a.m. till like 9 a.m. the next day, there wasn't a single Trump vote.
Right.
And like the whole county, not one person.
Yeah, it just went straight up on that graph.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's
the
insane.
hockey stick, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like, oh, wait, we had a flood in the bathroom. Whoop. You know, it's like so ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, I was watching that with my daughter, and as soon as I heard that, I was like, nah, this is fishy. There's something going on.
Yeah. And then, you know, you got Comey, right? Comey, the biggest turd in America, basically, going out there and saying, please vote for Biden because Trump is coming for the FBI and the DOJ. Good. That's what we want.
Right.
I would vote for him on that alone. Like, dismantle every 3-letter agency, please. Like, break it down to nothing and rebuild it because they're all compromised. They're all compromised. I don't even trust my doctor anymore. That's how bad that everything's gotten.
Yeah, it's not good.
Well, none of us can. I mean, look at after telling us that autism had nothing to do with vaccines.
Right.
Lo and behold, like major organizations are coming out and saying, you know what? We should probably start slow rolling and minimizing our vaccines here because it's having a massive, like how many kids, you know, I've got a son with autism. How many kids did we screw up? Right? How many kids did we forever wreck because the pharmaceutical companies got greedy and counted on that like it was tax money every year?
Yeah, nobody's held accountable.
No one is ever held accountable. Yeah. And, you know, 1 out of 35 kids is what April's saying. It went from like 1 in like 10,000 to 1 in 35 kids. So it's either microwaves, cell phones, right? Or the darn vaccines.
Dude, I remember growing up, I didn't know one kid that was autistic. It was crazy. And then all of a sudden there was just like this, you know, this big spike of, you know, of it happening. And where did it come from? You know, there was one connection supposedly with Tylenol, moms who were taking Tylenol for whatever pains or any whatever that led to it, or it could be one cause. You know, there's other things out there, but I think it's even more than that. April, she's saying 108 vaccines. There's so many out there now that we're just blasting our kids with, like,
Like it's going, and I mean it's, and here's what all the studies say, all the science says. All the science is pointing now that people who don't get vaccinated are healthier than those who do. They have less allergies. They have less chronic disease. They're healthier and more robust than the people who do it.
Isn't that ironic, right? After 2019, COVID.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Where they're still probably going to try to pull something crazy with the bird flu here.
Yeah. Well, people are still getting their boosters for COVID. It's crazy. It's insane.
Well, they're the same idiots walking around with masks still today.
Right.
Right. That's just natural selection. Like that's the Democrats eating their own right there. Like I think the mask thing is fantastic because I get to see who I don't even want to waste talking to.
Right.
Right. The idiots walking around the store, driving down the street in their car with their masks on in 2024.
See, I agree with you on that, but at the same time, I don't, because all these protesters are masking up and.
Well, that's just using that as a crime. That's
exactly
using it as cover, right? So the first thing I would do, like, why these cops aren't ripping off their masks for the cameras? Like, if I was a cop there, the first thing I'd do is rip off every one of their faces and show them to the camera.
Yeah. Do you think if their faces were shown, they'd be doing these things? I don't.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. No, the being able to hide behind these masks is done. It's the same way that all these, these giant swaths of black kids going in and black young youths, whether you want to call them youths, you want to call them adults, whatever, these flash mobs that go in and clear out entire stores with masks on.
Yeah.
They're bank robbers, dude.
Yeah. It wasn't, I heard Walmart was shutting down some of their stores in certain areas because of that.
Walmart's shutting down. All the pharmacies have shut down. Like those, they have destroyed their own neighborhoods as they always do.
Sucks too, because community suffers, for.
Yeah, well, after Rodney King and after all the riots, there was no place for people to shop and no one wanted to reinvest.
Yeah.
And then you have Michael Brown and everything happens again. And then BLM happens again. And then George Floyd. And it's like, who's going to invest to build and open a business in those neighborhoods? Like no one.
Right.
I had a client, it was actually a potential client, who could not get insured anymore because they sold high-end sneakers, like real high-end sneakers in the inner city. And they got robbed so much that no one would insure them anymore.
Wow.
No one arrested, no crimes, no nothing, dude. Complete chaos, complete error. And that's why I think this goes back to the screw it, vote that I think is about to happen. I think people are so over it. Like when Bill Maher is red pilled every other day and he's out there tearing up liberals, he still says he's not going to vote Trump. I'm not sure he's not going to go in there and pull the lever for him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He can't say that. He'll lose everything if he said that. But I mean, you've got some other big people who are coming out who have been, red pilled, and it's encouraging to see, finally. Like the frustration I have with Bill Maher is he caused this.
So hopefully it's not too late, though.
Well, that's the risk. That's that the odds are slim. I remember saying something from Return of the King, and I think it was Gandalf is on the wall with Frodo at that, not Frodo, was somebody. I can't remember who it was. One of the hobbits, I think. And he's like, is there hope? He's like, there was always a fool's hope. Like there was always just, the smallest little piece of hope that they were doing. And, that's what we have right now. What's this? I like unicorn. Victor must be on his meds again. I don't know what a unicorn pill is. Maybe he'll explain that to us. But is there anything else you want to cover tonight, man?
No, I think that's it. I think we covered a good amount of stuff.
All right. Well, all right, everyone. Thank you so much. We love you, and we will see you, next Friday. And I will see you Sunday at 9 for my sermon. And then I will see you Wednesday for sermon. And then back here on Friday. And we'll continue to polish this. Polish it. I'm going to make Adrian do so much homework. He's going to talk so much next week. You guys aren't going to know what to do with him. All right, everyone. God bless you, and we will see you later.
God bless.
Sponsored by Trident Shield, your trusted ally in violence preparedness. Trident Shield safeguards your loved ones with expert training and consulting. Trident Shield, defending faith through preparedness, because together we save lives.